What's up, family? If it's your first time checking out the show, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you represent. Family, I need you to smash up the like, smash up the like, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already, after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. Fam, before I go any further, I want to just sing your praises for a moment. You have helped the Ghetto Boys Reloaded podcast debut at number 3 on Apple Podcasts. To give you some type of indication on how big that is, when you drop an album, these podcasts, like putting out a podcast, is not like putting out an album. So to debut at number 3, against everybody out there, that's everybody in the podcast universe, to be number 3 on Apple Podcast. That's thousands of podcasts on Apple, thousands. And we debuted at number 3. I mean, we debuted in front of some heavy hitters. I mean, some people that's been out there, for a few years doing it and getting big numbers. And we jumped in front of them, fam. On our launch date. And we could not have done that without y'all, so we appreciate y'all for that big time. Don't think that for one moment we sitting back here thinking like we did this all by ourselves. No, we could not have done that without y'all. And I especially appreciate the day ones who jumped all over the podcast from day one and went out there and made sure that you subscribe to the podcast. If you have not done so already, you can still go subscribe to the podcast right now. You can go to iHeart Podcast. You can go to Apple Podcasts. You can go to Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow. Make sure you comment. You rate. You share it. All of these things help with the algorithm, and it helps to move the podcast to the front of the line. So, just a little quick little blurb. I don't care if you just say dope, whatever, dope, check, whatever, bam, and you out, but that means a lot. It means a lot that you're watching, and that's big time. It means a lot that you subscribe, but it's that engagement is a big deal. It's a big deal. So, if you got a few seconds to spare, just, drop a little rating or a little check or whatever you want to do, and then just keep it moving like that. But we appreciate y'all, fam, big time, big time. This is big, again, like this is akin to dropping a new record, a new album, and debuting at number 3 in front of all of these people out here, so many talented people out there. I mean, it's a big deal. So we are definitely singing y'all praises. We appreciate you big time, fam. So also, somebody else that is doing some big things is Ice Cube. Ice Cube is back for his 4th season of Big 3 basketball. If you can't check it out in person, you can go to CBS. You can watch it on Fight TV. You can watch it on Triller. It debuts July 10th. July 10th. That's 1, 2, 3 days. It'll be on every Saturday. You can catch it for the next 2 months. If you want to check it out in person, they'll be in Vegas first on July 10th. And it's not just one day. They'll be there a couple of days, a few days. So it's Vegas. Then they're going to be making a stop in New Orleans. Then they'll be going to the Bahamas for the playoffs and the championship. So if you can go in person, please do. I went and I had a great time, and I don't really get out a whole lot. But when I do get out, I try to make it count. And I can tell you, I was not disappointed when I checked it out in person. Going in, fam, we have Haiti's president, Jovenel Moise, who was assassinated today by some gunmen claiming to be DEA agents. They said they were speaking in English and Spanish in a nighttime raid on his home that also left his wife seriously injured. She was shot, sent to the hospital. they say that there's a lot of, well, not that they say, but we know that there has been a lot of civil unrest in Haiti as of late. And this president was basically ruling by decree, meaning that, after the parliament got disbanded or basically, just ran out of town, he started ruling by decree, like basically as a dictator, one person, one rule, and I'm laying down the law, y'all follow the law. If you don't like it, you deal with it or get killed with it, whatever. So it's reported that a lot of Haitian people did not like him at all, and they wanted him out. They said that his tenure had ended in February, but he wanted to stay on, and he wasn't willing to give up his position. So it is believed that the people decided that, well, we're not going to continue to wait and allow you to handle us any kind of way. And they decided to take the law into their own hands. So knowing that I wanted to have a conversation about this, I reached out to my brother, who always has some interesting viewpoints. Derek Muhammad, who is an activist in Houston. He is not just Houston and beyond, but he's based in Houston. He's an activist. He is a community organizer. He's a father, and he's a friend, a really, really good friend. And so a person that I really, really respect. So I wanted to bring him in on this discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Muhammad is in the building.
Peace and blessings, Will.
Hey,
thanks for having me, bro.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I appreciate you jumping on, man. I know this is spur of the moment, but sometimes life happens, man, and then other times death happens.
Yeah. Well, anything for my brother. It's an honor to be on your show, and I want to say congratulations on all of the success with the new Ghetto Boys Reloaded podcast. We're real excited about that in the community, bro.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. I did not really know what to expect exactly, because when you're building, you know what I mean? When you're building, you just hope you can build it and they'll come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful to see that the reaction is indicative of the name, Reloaded.
Mm.
Because that's what we did. We was like, man, we finna reload on this information and instructions to help people navigate through this wild, crazy world. And so me and Brad was already having these discussions on this channel right here. And so when he came to me with the idea, I was like, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Let's do it. So it worked out beautifully, man. And I appreciate the fact that you have also used your platform and your influence to help put the word out about the podcast.
Well, the podcast means a lot to us because me growing up in the hood in Houston, the Ghetto Boys' success was very personal to us. A lot of times the Ghetto Boys might get a bad rap for some of the content in some of their songs that may deal with drugs, guns, killing, or whatever. But what the Ghetto Boys did for us is the Ghetto Boys created a platform to express what we were going through, to express our pain, coming up in the ghetto at a time when we couldn't express it ourselves. So for years, we have been clamoring for a Ghetto Boys reunion. And I don't know, a light went off in my head. I'm like, man, this is it right here. This is the reunion. And so another thing that's beautiful is the fact that you, Face, Jay Prince, whenever you've been doing business with one another, there are always going to be ups and downs over the years. But to see y'all back together on the first episode just proves that, Black men can do business with one another. It could be a brotherly outcome regardless of the ups and downs. And I think it's beautiful to watch, and we celebrate it.
Absolutely, man. And again, I appreciate all of the support. Man, what do you think about this? I mean, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You hear the president of Haiti has been assassinated.
Honestly, when I woke up this morning to that news, the first word that came to my mouth was damn. Damn. And it's not just the fact that he was assassinated, how they say he was assassinated.
Right.
Really, really.
And you had an interesting take on that. Explain that.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you can get that close to the leader of a sovereign nation, that more than likely it's an inside job. And again, disclaimer, this is just Brother Derek Muhammad's opinion. Facts and details are still unfolding. So I may have a different position on it tomorrow. But it sounds like that was an inside job, because you are not supposed to get that close to the president of any sovereign nation. And Haiti is indeed a republic. It fought for its independence and won its independence technically. And whether he was ruling by decree or through a democratic process, however that happened. Again, I hadn't been following the politics in Haiti lately. When you get that close, it's usually an inside job, Will.
Yeah. They were saying that, I'm getting an echo, bad echo. Where's that coming from? Hello. Okay, we're good. Yeah. So they were saying that this guy was, they was painting him like an enemy of the people. And you had another interesting take on that, which you beat me to the punch in our discussion. You were saying that, for him to get assassinated and we not even know his name, like this is my first time hearing his name. And of course, I just was not keeping up with the country like that, but I had never heard his name before. And that tells you what? If you've never heard his name before in American media and he gets assassinated, what did you say that tells you?
Usually, if a man who is the president of a country like Haiti, and he's willing to go against the powers that be for the benefit of the masses of the people in Haiti, the American media will more than likely try to demonize someone like that.
Right.
And through that demonization, this is when you'll hear of who he is. Everybody knew who Fidel Castro was, because Fidel Castro was willing to die for the revolution in Cuba. And because of that, he was demonized, not just by the American media, but by the Western media worldwide. They'll make you famous when they hate you. But I was just saying, it was interesting that I had never really heard of the brother's name. And again, I hadn't been following Haiti politics here in some time. But that's not to say that he was or was not a genuine soul who wanted what was best for the people in Haiti. I generally don't know. But what I do know is if he was standing up against who they call the big brother, the United States of America, we probably would have heard of him by now.
Yeah. Well, they said essentially he came in running on the platform of for the people. And at some point he made a turn and it was for me. And the people wanted him gone. It's also reported that in footage that was recorded by a witness, that someone with an American accent shouted through a megaphone, "Stand down. Everybody stand down, DEA operation. Everybody back up, stand down." That doesn't sound like DEA to me. They're more covert. They're more like go in, it's the hidden hand, get it done, and then the propaganda begins, and they'll make it seem like it's coming from one of the enemies within. They always send in people that are closest to you, and then they create the friction, the enemies. You know, it's one side against the others. So that's the American way. What they're talking about, DEA coming in and saying stand down. That's not how America moves. America don't roll like that. America gets two powers who are two opposing groups to go against each other, and they get one to wipe the other one out. They let them fight, and the last one standing, they say, okay, now we did you a favor, we looked out for you. Now we control you, and we're gonna control you. And if you get to a point where we can't control you, then we'll do the same. We'll rinse and repeat, because there's always going to be an opposition to leadership. I don't care if you're doing well by the people, you know, or you're the enemy of the people. There's always going to be an opposition. So America just would go and just, okay, we're going to empower this opposition and give this opposition the money and the resources they need to knock you off. And then we'll control you as long as we can control you. And when you get out of line, we'll rinse and repeat. That's the
right. That's the play. See, there's a difference between knowing the particulars and knowing the play. This just happened. Right. So we don't know all of the particulars, but we do know the play, because the play in terms of how international things are done, it remains the same. You know, one of the things that Bob Marley died trying to do was unite the country in Jamaica. In his effort to unite the opposition parties, he felt like he was saving his country from colonization, because you already know what the principle says: if you can divide, then you can conquer. And we may not know the people or the personalities, we may not know the particulars, but again, the play is still the same. There's a book that I would like for everybody to go and read that's called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And I can't think of the man's name right now, but in this book, he's a former member of the CIA. He gives you detail after detail and account after account of how he personally was sent into nations to create two sides, agitate opposition, and to get them fighting against one another, so that America could go in and take advantage of the resources in that particular country. You know, the who, what, the when, and the where, that's one thing. But when we start talking about the why, like why is it that Haiti has always been targeted as a country that Western powers feel like they got to keep these brothers and sisters in Haiti off balance? It's because they know how strong the Haitian people are. They're very spiritually strong people, and they just have a very strong constitution. And they got oil.
There's something going on. Is that your sound? Is that you?
I don't think it's my sound.
Hey, yo. Okay, it's all right for right now, but man, I forgot my thought.
I pulled something up. It says that Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, it's called the Antilles region, possess approximately 142 million barrels of oil and 159 billion cubic feet of gas. Haiti also produces coffee, copper. There are gold mines in Haiti. Like, there's so much wealth underneath the earth in Haiti that you have to keep the people on top of the earth in Haiti poor, destitute, and divided, so that they can continue to colonize what's underneath the earth. And I think that's what we have to look at. I don't know who killed the president, but what I can guarantee you is that there is a third party. There is a hidden hand that don't give a damn about the president nor the people. They want what's under the earth in Haiti.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Somebody, I'm assuming is from Haiti, says we have oil and gold. and they have the the Haitian flags. King Levi, all of my Haitian people, please chime in on this.
Yes.
If you have anything to add. Another thing is this: the reason why America tries to keep a foot on Haiti is because they never got over Haiti winning its independence. So it's always going to be that a certain level of vitriol there. They never got over it. It's just like white people. Some white people in America, well, not just some, but many white people in America has never got over the fact that black people are free people. They just never got over it. This is why you have all the Karens and the one they try to control black spaces and places in existence. They like, wait a minute. How dare you act like you have rights when you was a slave? How dare you talk back to me? How dare you act dignified? How dare you drive that nice car, live in that nice house because you were a slave? How dare you have an opinion? You need to shut up and dribble. Shut up and dribble. How dare you? See, a lot of that is because they just never got over the fact that black people are free people. And I do believe that this is the reason why they keep an eye on Haiti. There's like, these motherfuckers, they whooped ass before. So they got the spirit of warrior in them. The spirit is there. If they ever get organized, it's a wrap. If they ever connect with Black Americans, it's over. It's over. If they ever link up with Africa, it's over.
Yes.
See? And that's why they always sticking their nose in their business. They trying to control the plight. Yeah. You dig? They're trying to control the plight.
In the 1700s and the 1800s, Napoleon was like the Michael Jordan of war. He was the man. He was the one, couldn't be defeated. And in the Haitian Revolution, Haiti defeated Napoleon, and European powers, they never forgot that. And I think in that, what you're saying, Will, is a lesson for us all. Not to get deep into the Bill Cosby situation, but that's part of why Bill Cosby's civil rights were violated and they sent him off to prison. There were certain things that Bill had done that they just never forgot. Sooner or later, they don't, and that's what we got to remember. Those of you who think you can tap dance, capitulate, kowtow, and make amends with the enemy, they'll never trust you and they never forget. When you look at the concept of white supremacy is the idea of preserving all things white over that which is non-white. And you don't get no blacker than the Haitian people. I mean, those are some black, beautiful people who descend from the continent of Africa. They are original people. And for them to defeat Napoleon in the way that they did it, in the time period in which they did it, in the mind of Western powers, they're just basically saying never again. So they have to always try to keep Haiti off balance. And the best way to keep a powerful people off balance is to keep them fighting against one another. There's an African proverb that says, when two brothers fight, it is the enemy that inherits their father's land. And my message to any of our Haitian people who might be listening to Willie D Live right now, we have to find a path to conflict resolution so that we can secure the future of Haiti beyond our current divisions.
What do you think of this statement, Brother Derek? Joe Biden called the attack very worrisome. White House Press Secretary Jen, I've never heard this name before. I can't say her name. I think it's Psaki, maybe. It's either Psaki or Psaki. I'm thinking Psaki. Okay, added, it was a horrific crime, adding, we stand ready and stand by them to provide any assistance that's needed. Why would they provide any assistance that's needed in death when they haven't done it in life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, if that's Joe Biden's official statement,
Well,
that's what he's supposed to say.
Well, what Joe Biden's official comment was very worrisome. He called it very worrisome. His press secretary, Jen Psaki, added it was an horrific crime, adding we stand ready and stand by them to provide any assistance that's needed. I'm not sure if that was a comment or a direct quote from Joe Biden. But in any event, that's the rhetoric.
He said that's very worrisome.
Yeah.
And maybe he will make additional statements later. But if you're the president of a sovereign nation and another president of a sovereign nation gets killed in that manner, that would be worrisome. Because what you might be thinking is, if it could happen to him, you know, I'm just saying, that's just not something that happens to that's different from being what they call JFK. You know, JFK was in public. Some say that that was an inside job as well. We're not going to get into all of that. But
we know this was an inside job. We know that.
Oh man.
Nobody come into your house and you're a president, you got armed guards all around you every day, every moment. And somebody just walk in your house and kill you and shoot your wife and send her to the ICU. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, but what that does also, bro, is like the real beauty of the people of Haiti. It's like it will never be known to the common world. What it does is it sends a message of extreme instability in Haiti. And what that does is opens the door for others to come in to try to solve your problems. And you know what that looks like when you let others, meaning white countries, coming in to try to solve your problems. So it says that you can't handle it on your own. And I feel like every country has a brand. Every country has a brand. And this further tarnishes the brand and the image of Haiti, which I believe is a very unfair depiction of the masses of the Haitian people. It's a very beautiful country from what I understand. I've never been there. I've been to the DR, which is right across the fence, but I've never made it to Haiti. And so I just hope that within all of this, there are those within the Haitian community who could help to create a narrative that shows that these headlines do not define who Haiti is, nor does it define where Haiti is going. Again, if the Haitian people do not unite, this could be a tragic situation. It's already tragic. But, and then when you look at the people on the ground in Haiti, bro, they've gone through enough. They've gone through enough.
Yeah, I want to send a shout out to my moderators in the house, China White. Shout out to Miss Michi, keeping the trolls at bay. We must keep the trolls at bay. Why? Because trolls are hoes. I like calling them that, fam. You know, it gets under their skin, and there's nothing they can do about it. You know, and it's just absolutely beautiful that it does nothing to me. It takes nothing away from me. You know, like, you know, some people say, well, you got to forgive and get over that stuff. You know, you can't think about this. I don't really think about it like that. It's more it's more like a human thing to me. You know, keeps me smiling and motivated. You know, I love it.
Shout out to the moderators.
Yeah, shout out to the moderators. Make sure you go check out the Ghetto Boys podcast, fam. You can find it on iHeart Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, make sure you you get the word out. We're number 3 right now, looking for that number 1 spot, aiming for that number 1 spot. So make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. I think there may be a link in my description. If not, if there's not a link there, I'll put it in there after the live. Want to send a shout out to David. Appreciate you, King. In parting, Derek, what do you suggest that the Haitian people collectively do to, what would be a good move for them in order to protect their brand, to protect their future? Because I can see this as an opportunity for somebody like the U.S. who will come in and act like they're coming to help. The next thing you know, they own Haiti. They own half the country or something. The next thing you know, Haiti is an annex of the USA. So what is it that you would suggest that the Haitian people do to protect their brand and to make sure that the country don't just fall apart?
I can say in principle that what we have to do in Haiti, what we have to do in America, and what we have to do worldwide is set aside our differences and look at the bigger picture. Like, what is the agenda for the children of Haiti, for the future of Haiti? And that requires us to look beyond self. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan traveled to Haiti, I know at least on one occasion, but on many occasions. And his word to the Haitian people was that of unite. Set aside your petty differences, set aside religious and spiritual differences, political differences, and we have to unite. If not, the same snake that bit Black people in America is the same snake that's going to come in and completely and totally take over Haiti, and they don't care how many they wipe out in the process. The next thing that I would say is there are a lot of people in Haiti who are simply trying to survive from day to day. I think they say that 60% of the Black people in Haiti live on less than $2 a day. And so you have to look beyond Haiti, the island or the country, and look in the diaspora. There are so many Haitians who are influential, not just in America, but throughout the globe. And I think those who are the descendants or those who were produced by the nation of Haiti, they have to put their resources together. And you have to start with helping the people to supply their basic needs: food, clothing, shelter, and just the strength that's being used. Like, if you're doing judo, the best way to handle a strong person is to destabilize them. The Pilgrims, they had to give the Native Americans smallpox to weaken them, and then they conquered them. But if you can get a strong people fighting with one another, it's the perfect way to use that strength against themselves. But we have to find a way to use that same strength to identify our friends and identify our enemies. And when you can use the strength that God gave you as a means to fight against your open enemy, and if our Haitian people can all get on the same page where that is concerned, then I think we'll be okay. But it goes back to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. And please listen to this. If you haven't heard anything else we said on this broadcast, listen to this. He said, no individual can ever rise above the condition of his people. So you could be a millionaire, a Haitian, but a millionaire living in Miami. You are no better than the 3-year-old who don't know what he or she's going to eat, who actually lives in Haiti right now. No individual can rise above the condition of his or her people. And I think if we adopt that mindset,
is that you
get on the road.
Is that
the road of redemption and revolution and freedom, justice, and equality for our brothers and sisters in Haiti.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom.
I appreciate you having me, Will. Love you, bro.
Absolutely. Love you back, King. Fam, Derek Muhammad, great guy, great guy. I've been rocking with this guy forever. Fam, this is a no-win situation. You know, like overall, you got to look at it like this is just, unless it is going to, unless something could happen that can come from this where you're going to have total change, this would just be a scar on the Haiti brand, the way I see it, and basically saying the same thing that Derek alluded to. Look, fam, sometimes it calls for, you just say, hey, man, ain't nothing changing. I'm not finna live like this for the next, 10 years, 5 years, next day, next 100 years, 500 years, whatever. I'll take my chances. And we all know that if you take your chances, there will be blood. And so the people have to ask themselves, are they willing to spill blood? Whether it be their own or somebody else's, are they willing to go that far, for their rights and their freedoms? Apparently, somebody was. This is too early, and it's way too early in the investigation. And really, I'm talking investigation, but we don't know if we'll ever know the truth about why this guy or who. We kind of got an idea why, but we don't. It's hard to kind of figure out who the hidden hand is. That whole people going in there with megaphones, talking in Spanish and in English, announcing themselves as DEA agents and stuff like that. Yeah, that sounds a little. That sounds planned, because if you just hit us, you're not going in. We don't care about no microphones. You don't need a microphone to gain access. And once you get in, and if you banging, nobody cares. I mean, like, ain't nobody finna run up on no guns. So what do you need to make that announcement for? It's a very strange collection of circumstances. So I don't know, fam. This is a wild case, and it's a developing case. So as it does, I will keep you guys in the loop. One more time for Ice Cube and Big 3 basketball, debuting July 10th. You got 3 days to get your popcorn ready if you're not going to check it out in person. If you want to go check it out in person, you can go to big3.com and cop yourself some tickets. They'll be making stops in Vegas, New Orleans, and the Bahamas. Otherwise, you can watch it on CBS, Triller, or Fight TV. Make sure you subscribe to the Ghetto Boys podcast. I'll put a link in the description. I can't remember if there's one there right now, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast for the audio version. The podcast come out every single Monday. Every Monday, you'll get a new episode of Ghetto Boys Reloaded. And also, you can go over to our YouTube page right now, Ghetto Boys Reloaded YouTube page, and subscribe. That's for the clips. You can see the visuals on the YouTube page. So the audio is iHeart, Spotify, Apple TV, wherever you get your podcast. But if you want to watch the visuals, you'll only be able to watch the visuals on our YouTube channel. And that is Ghetto Boys Reloaded. Go over there right now and subscribe, share, pass the word, because I think you'll be entertained, but more importantly, informed. Until next time, fam, no more talk.